Hey guys, Ethan from EH Reptiles here, and today I'm going to do a quick video on how to care for your bearded dragon. To start off, you're going to want for a full-grown bearded dragon, you're going to want a 90 by 45 by 45 terrarium or enclosure. Now, this is more than big enough for my small little baby bearded dragon in there. But as you can see, excuse the mess, but I made a bookshelf into a 3-story enclosure, so they're all the same size, so she's just got this one at the moment. And yeah, so first what you're going to want to start off with is obviously a water dish. Now, babies don't tend to like the enclosure too big, but I made sure that I put that plant in there for her to hide in, which she really likes, and lots of stuff for her to hide in around. And I normally have more plants as well, but I've taken them out for the sake of this video. And obviously you have a water dish, and a basking spot. Now, for this enclosure, the basking spot is an EH Reptiles reptile hammock. Now, this one might look a bit torn up. I've had it for quite a long time. This is the first one I ever made as a prototype, and I just still have it. But the ones that we are selling, I assure you, are top quality. And so how they work is they fit right under this reptile hammock. As you can see, the base. And because I was looking at suction cupped hammocks, but they don't stick to wood and some other materials that people could use for enclosures or terrariums. So I wanted to find out a way to make a reptile hammock, but a freestanding one, so it didn't have to have suction cups. And she loves that. She's always on it all the time. I'll probably put in a little time-lapse video of her on it later on. But yeah, so I've already said that she's got a water dish. She's got a plant, which she absolutely loves hiding in. But yeah, that's a quick rundown of her enclosure. Now, I'll be back in a sec and I'll have a proper care guide to your bearded dragon. Okay, we're back. And so first off, you're going to need a reptile and amphibians license. And you'll have to check with your government about the laws in your area. But for me, I've just got a standard reptile and amphibian license. Now, that costs, I think, $70. And I can have common reptiles and 1 rare or endangered species. But I think I need to pay a bit more. So, the first thing that you're really going to want to need is a place for them to hide in. Whether it be in a hide or anything like that, that they can just hide, curl away in, and feel safe in. Now, I normally have, like I said at the start of the video, that I have a lot more hides and places for her to go in this enclosure, even though it already looks quite crowded. But she's a baby, and this is a pretty big enclosure, so I have a lot of places for her to hide in here. Now, the right amount of heat is crucial for your bearded dragon, because if it's not hot enough, then they won't be able to digest their food properly or anything like that, and they won't grow fast at all. Now, I've got a thermostat in there. You don't need that, but that basically turns my heat lamp off when it reaches, let's say, 31 degrees. Then turns it back on when it goes below 31 degrees. And of course, your other light is a UV light, which you don't need for snakes, and you'll have to check if you need them for any other reptile. But bearded dragons, they are crucial. Now, recently, if you follow me on Instagram at EHReptiles, you'll know that my older bearded dragon's UV light broke. So for now, I've just got this small one, which is directly at him because he is under there somewhere. There he is. And yeah, and I've got a 100-watt heat lamp, and down here I have 125. Now, to help your beardy shed, a great thing to do is give them warm baths quite often, and sometimes even spray them down with water with a spray bottle, just like that. And depending on your area, you might have dubia roaches, crickets, woodies, mealworms, superworms, giant mealworms, hornworms, and the list goes on. And obviously grains to feed your bearded dragons. I tend to stick with crickets just because they're so easy to breed, and I'll probably post a video later on about how I breed my crickets really easily. I've literally got thousands and thousands of crickets, and it's the first time I've ever done it. So what I have here is just a few crickets that I quickly got, not many. And as you can see, she already knows that it's feeding time. So normally I'll hand feed her just to get her used to my hand. But for now, what's wrong? Oh, you're puffing out. Come here, gorgeous. She is absolutely the most adorable bearded dragon. And my camera does not want to focus. Well, anyway. Pop her down in here. And okay, well, come on then. Come on. She can see her reflection in this tub, which is really annoying. She always pays attention to that and not her food. But there we go. Didn't want to eat today, but I'll probably post a feeding video later or something. Now, care for bearded dragons. What have I missed? Okay, for a baby bearded dragon, you'll probably be okay with a 20-gallon aquarium, or terrarium, or enclosure, or whatever you want to call it. I would not suggest a 10-gallon because there's no heat difference. It can't be hot on one side then cold on the other because the enclosure is just too small. Because if it's hot all around the enclosure, they can't get anywhere to escape from the heat. And you obviously want to keep that nice dry environment that they are used to out in the wild with heat, because bearded dragons don't produce their own body heat, so you have to supply that. Now, my other bearded dragon is in hibernation or brumation or whatever you want to call it at the moment. But he's like the most beautiful bearded dragon as well. My friend no longer could take care of him when he was about half a year old. So I took him with the enclosure. And now he's here. Now I normally do have a lot more stuff in his enclosure. I have a, what's it called, a sort of like a shoebox with hay in it for him to sleep in for brumation. But I've taken that out again for the sake of the video, and he just likes to hide under the reptile carpet, so I just left that in there. But yeah, you want to supply that. You don't have to. They'll make do fine without. But, you know, it's just a comfortable, warm, dark place for them to go into. Oh, okay. So, the food for bearded dragons doesn't want to be any bigger than the width in between their eyes. If it is, they could have trouble swallowing it or ingesting it. They'll go for prey normally bigger than that, but it's just not good for them. I will probably do a cage setup video in, like, straight after this video is posted. I will get a cage setup video. probably for busy and show you the different substrates and heat requirements and all that. Okay, so I remembered what a question that I get asked quite a bit by my friends and people on my Instagram is the diet of your bearded dragons. Now, adults need most of their diet to be herbs and greens, lettuce, mainly salad, and then they also need to be fed their insects as well, but not nearly as much. Their salads are normally their staple food when they get to an adult, but babies are pretty much the opposite. They eat mostly crickets and insects, then occasionally will eat salad. Now, I offer my beardies salad every single day, especially the adult. Hope is normally really good at eating salad. She normally eats it. But sometimes, they're... Okay, guys, sorry my video cut out there. But what I was saying was baby beardies don't need anywhere near as much salad. As adults, it's still good for them. But, insects, especially dusted with calcium powder. For my crickets, I make a grounded cat biscuits and reptile calcium dry food for them, along with the occasional carrot. So they get fed the reptile calcium directly, but I also dust them just to keep the beardies healthy, especially if they have nips or disforms from being in the egg on their body when they're babies. Okay, as you can see, she's up in her reptile hammock now, which she does do quite a lot. Sorry if it's not in focus. But yeah, so the different substrates you can use are, obviously here I've got reptile carpet because it's just the easiest thing for these wooden enclosures. But up there I've got this cat litter, which works really well because they bury themselves in it and stuff like that. It's actually really, really cool watching them dig in it. But yeah, I don't really know much else that I can say. So if you've got any other questions, please ask, and thanks for watching. Sorry, I almost forgot this. So just quickly, one last thing is beardies to look after is extremely cheap, especially if you only have one. The initial costs are the UV light and obviously the enclosure and the stuff that goes in it, but the UV lamp and the heat lamp. The UV you want to change every couple of months, just even though it still might be bright and showing light, it might not be giving off UV, so you never really know, so it's good to be safe. Then the heat lamp, when it stops producing heat or it dies, like the bulb's blown and nothing comes out of it, there's no light, no nothing, then obviously you want to get one. The 100 watt heat lamp, which is probably the best to start off with, is about $12 to $14 to $15 Australian, depending on where you live. And the UV light is probably around $35, depending on where you live. Now, the enclosure, if you make it like we did, we made 3 enclosures. We bought a bookshelf, this bookshelf, off Gumtree for about $35. We drilled holes in the back for insulation. On the top, we just put some hooks to hold the UV light up and the heat light. And silicon's the... Sorry guys, it died out again. But yeah, so silicone the corners so that crickets can't get out. Normally, if you make it yourself, it will be sealed because of the screws. But because we bought this off Gumtree, it had a bit of wear and tear and it wasn't perfect. But as you can see, it clearly does the job. And then that is just a Reptile 1 terrarium. which, because it's like third hand now, because I got it off my friend, and I think he got it second hand. That's a bit damaged at the top there as well, but no broken glass, no nothing can endanger the reptile. Now you want to be fed, do you? Yeah. Okay, so the initial cost is still reasonably cheap. The bearded dragon, we're going to be selling leatherbacks, high quality citrus tiger, yellow bearded dragons like Hope, probably for around $250, leatherback bearded dragons. But then I'm getting a bearded dragon called Blaze, who should be arriving soon. And he is a, what's it called? A hypo-trans red citrus tiger bearded dragon, leatherback bearded dragon. And he is going to be Hope's future partner. And his babies will be going for, I think, $450 is a good price. Or, depending on the reptile, $350 to $450. And then all the normal bearded dragons will probably be at around $150, because they're still really high quality, hypos and translucents. If they're anything below that, and that just that's just way out of your price range, then I can probably do a deal with you, and we'll probably do something around $110, same as the pet stores do. But yeah, so, and of course, silkbacks. You can research the price of them, they're quite expensive. But yeah, so the initial cost of your reptile, the enclosure, and the heat and the lights and all the stuff that goes in it is your biggest expense. I can't really tell you how much that is because I don't know. Obviously, if you make your enclosure, you save quite a lot, but you know, it depends if you have that time or not. And yeah, so after that, it's super easy caring for a bearded dragon. I sell 500 crickets for $20, 1,000 crickets for $30. And then as bird food, because we don't recommend you feed them to your bearded dragons, because we don't recommend that you feed mealworms and superworms and giant mealworms to your bearded dragons, especially as a staple food, because they can be addicting to your bearded dragons. I made the mistake of feeding her one as a little bit of a treat when she was a baby, and she didn't eat crickets for about 3 or 4 days because she just wanted mealworms. She got really addicted to them, and their skin is like, their shell around their skin is how can I explain it? It's like chitin, and it's really hard for them to digest, and it's bad for them. But yeah, we also sell, I think, 50 grams for $2.50 or something like that. Half a kilogram for, I think, $10, and a kilogram for $25. So a lot cheaper prices that you get in the store or most other places. And then those reptile hammocks are flat packed, so they come flat. We ship them all around the world. They are $20 to $25 depending on where you live, not including shipping. And yeah, so that pretty much sums it up. Thank you guys again for watching. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at EHReptiles for constant updates. And yeah, thanks for watching.